comedy venture. He's driving around the country. Him and a couple of buddies just telling jokes. Oh, sometimes funny things happen, and that's why I do this show. Amy asked me lots of questions, but mostly if I got laid. Biggie's comedy venture. It's Biggie's comedy venture. Biggie's comedy venture. Biggie's comedy venture. Oh, hello to another episode of the Biggie Comedy Venture. It's funny, Mike is. Do I sound regular to you? You know what it is? My hearing's done. So like when for real, I need everyone when I don't. And yesterday's TDC, I think it was before the show or not. Maybe it was on the show when they were talking about headphone stuff. Like I always have mine cranked higher than other people do. Anyway,
do you clean out your ears?
I had a full on actual official ear cleaning before I left on the trip this time. Yeah, I was doing a few other things to like check off old man things I should probably like get checked.
But do you like use Q-tips?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't. But honestly, when I went to the doctor and had official, and she held barely anything out. She's like, there's almost nothing in here.
Oh, interesting.
Although, and I also found out that my hearing, I think, is they just said it's pretty much normal for my age. I am losing some, but
gotcha.
Pretty much seems amazing because I've treated my ears terribly.
Yeah, you're not wearing earplugs at your EDM festivals.
I've treated my ears worse than I've treated my liver, I would say. I'm serious. I drink water at least and eat some healthy food. I don't do anything for my ears. I would go to those. I went to Vegas nightclub one time and literally just stood up right against the speaker and like my ears on the speaker and just like, this is awesome. Feels good though.
I have a friend of mine. Her uncle was like an air traffic controller.
Yeah.
And he went.
I know someone who does that.
It's like a super intense job, like super intense. And he went to a concert at like a House of Blues, so it was like just a small event. It wasn't like. And left the concert and had a ringing in his ear that never stopped.
Really?
Never stopped, and he had to retire because you can't have any ailments like that.
Yeah.
You know?
And
it was like to the point where it was driving him crazy.
Oh my God.
I know.
It's just, the reality is that human bodies, we're all different.
Yeah.
And like when you think like, about like, well, I kind of work out enough or I do better than certain people, but there's certain things that it's just a weird, maybe it just hit it right.
Right, exactly.
Dude, I've been to a lot of concerts and I've never wore earplugs. I'm going to start, I think. I'm going to start.
I always make fun of people who do that.
I know, but...
there were these two people behind us at the Lizzo concert who had on masks and earplugs, and they just stood there like this. And I was like,
"Are you having fun?
Are these people even having a good time?
Are you enjoying?
Why are you here?"
No, I think I'm going to do the earplugs just because, not because I've gotten to the point where I've just done so bad. I've treated them so badly that it's probably not a bad idea to start protecting them a little better. Anyway.
Well, the good news is they've come a long way with hearing aids. So if you need them, they sync with your phone and everything.
That is true. And I've also heard, I think I heard recently that they may be starting to sell them just in stores.
Yeah, actually, I think they do.
Like just literally you can just go like getting reading glasses.
Yeah.
So I think the problem is
you can get things like that like attached to your like TV or whatever that, make it loud.
The only thing would be is full on hurting the drum. Because I think that other than if you do that, I think you're still fucked.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, if it gets damaged.
But I just had a full on legit hearing test. They looked in there. So I probably don't have to worry about that. I guess. Anyway, whatever. Here we go. Biggie Comedy Venture. I did want to say, I didn't mention it as much. Oh, Amy here. Thank you for being here, Amy.
We're in person.
Live.
You kind of look like this hair that's hanging out.
I know.
You look like Lloyd Christmas or someone from Dumb and Dumber, like with your like hair, or like an Amish person.
I know. You
should curl like barrel curl these. Like an Amish person.
I know.
Please have your sister do that when you see her.
So the thing about my hair is that it honestly, legitimately is bugging me now. Because if I don't have a hat on, I don't know what to. Now I actually washed my hair today, believe it or not. But like I don't.
Can you put it in a pony?
No, because it's like...
Well, no, like on the top of your head?
It looks like...
Even like a half-up pony, maybe?
I guess I could right now because I actually washed it.
Yeah.
But if I were to try tomorrow, once it curls up again, it doesn't do it. It really doesn't do anything.
You need like some style to that hair, maybe.
Well, the problem is, too, it's like... all that I end up doing is going like this. And it looks like I'm doing a comb over.
Yeah.
But I'm not.
Yeah.
And the other thing is when I'm driving, this side hair just keeps getting in my eyes. It's like, and I keep going like this. I go like this. If you're watching, you can see me. I'm like, but
pushing it back
through my ear, but it doesn't stay there.
Oh my God.
So anyway,
you need to wear like a headband.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I really want to finally... I feel like I'm only gonna have one more chance where I could justify in my life cutting it and dyeing it purple / pink.
You're gonna have to just bite the bullet and do it.
That's my point, though. And so I'm looking into how I'm gonna do it for the next part of the trip. Actually, like I want to have this shorter. I don't know if I'm gonna go with the beard if I cut this much shorter because I really have started to like the beard.
Well, my cousin does hair. She does my hair. I can see if she can do it. Dye your hair.
Okay.
She might just say, "Well, buy the dye," and
like
she can buy it, but
right. No. I would. You have to ask her. Be specific about the fact that I want it legit purple. So she's gonna have to probably like strip it. Talked about it, like strip the color.
Yep.
And then, but honestly, I'll pay her. I want to do it. I want to do this.
Yeah.
And this is the one time I feel like I can once again get away with it in my life, where it's not. I don't know. I'll be on the road and it's weird.
Do you notice anything different about my hair?
That it's.
Does it look longer?
It does look longer. You got extensions in there?
I did.
Really?
Yeah, like a month ago.
Really?
We've done several shows with my hair super long.
But I mean, it's been on the road. I don't see it.
But yeah, there's extensions in here. Isn't that
What
crazy?
is the reasoning for it?
It gives it more volume.
Gotcha.
And longer.
Is it weird?
I don't even feel it. I mean, it's just weird because I'm not used to it. Well, my real hair stops.
And is it real hair?
Yeah.
Is it human hair that's been cut or something?
My real hair probably stops here.
That's so bizarre.
The majority of it, and you can like kind of feel where it's in, but isn't it crazy how much it matches my regular hair color?
Couldn't even tell.
I know.
I mean, I know I'm not. No, I think I am. I do think I notice things for the most part.
If it were noticeable, you would notice it.
Like, no, you can't. I'm looking, and now I'm really looking at it, and I can't tell it.
Yeah.
Honestly, ask her. I want to do this. I really do. I've wanted to do it for a long time in my life.
Yeah.
So it's not something that's on a whim.
Yeah.
It's just, I just haven't, it didn't work out for this last month because once I started, because I was going to do it.
Yeah, I remember.
And I just looked into it and it just kind of not even just too expensive, but like.
How long did they tell you it would last for?
I don't even remember. And I don't even care.
Yeah.
I don't even care. Because I'm only going to be on the road for 5 weeks and I know my parents will fucking hate it. Not that matters, but I know they will. But, I mean, it does obviously matter in a little bit. But anyway, so one thing I did want to say that I hadn't been talking about as much real quick is that because of T-shirts, like it was just a weird thing. I know I mentioned that there was going to maybe be these T-shirts and then it kind of went away. It was just because we were trying to go back and forth and I was on the road and it was tough. But the guy did get a hold of me and he is still working on them. And then also my boy, Alabama Joey, he was a guy who let us stay on his place.
Yep. You took a test with his kid.
Took a test with his kid, yeah. He also had the infamous, had that guy that was helping us with my car.
Yes.
Who had the boner.
Yep.
When Scott and Tyler went to go pick up something from the van or something. But he also hit me up, was like, hey man, I wanted to come up with something to help out. And he came up with like these pink koozies.
Oh, cool.
That have the logo, that have like the hat logo on it.
Neat.
And so.
Do you have that logo in like electronic format?
I don't. My sister does though, actually.
Oh, she does? Oh, cool. Can you get it from her?
Yeah, I'm sure I could. Something. Yeah. And so what I'm gonna do is
those are cool.
They're pink. The koozies are pink, by the way. Which because he couldn't get purple.
Oh, okay.
Purple's obviously gonna go to. Yes. The shirts are gonna be purple. These are gonna be pink. Awesome. And I forgot to bring it in. But I was going to bring in, because like when I broke my wrist in Fall Out Boy, I kept my cast. And my cast, when I broke my wrist at Fall Out Boy, I got a pink/purple cast.
Oh.
And you know what's
How do you still have that? It must be so gross.
I just thought it was, I don't.
How long do you have it on for?
I don't remember. But I don't think so, because it's just sitting, it's just dried up.
No, I just mean like, because I remember when I got my cast off, how gross it was.
It's cut in half, and I just have like
clean though.
Yeah.
But I feel like.
I don't know.
Stuff got under there.
You know what's a funny story that I hadn't thought about till just now, though? So I got that pink and purple because really the reality was I wanted pink and purple. But at the time, I was still at Specs High. I was at Specs when I broke my wrist.
Did people sign it?
People did sign it, yes. And then I was also like, I was interning as a promo intern for the Greater Media, which was the company that owned, at the time it was Riff, CSX, and Magic. So I wasn't doing the Drew and Mike stuff yet. I was just doing the guy where you went out and gave posters at concerts and stickers at, shit like that.
Did you go from that to the Drew and Mike?
No. Oh. No, I did the promotional intern was when I was in Specs. And that, what's so that ended a little bit after my Specs thing, which was summer of 2006 that ended. And then I had this whole thing right when Specs ended was when Burley, my buddy Burley, had bought legit like really nice HD cameras, and he had gone to some wedding and met a person that apparently had like not, history in producing TV, some kind of feeling like that this guy knew what he was talking about. And Burley at the time would always show anybody that would watch our dumb videos. And he liked them, but he said they need to be in HD or you're not going to be taken seriously. So Burley spent a bunch of money on these really nice, at the time, really nice HD cameras. And when I got out of Specs, I had this weird time where I was like trying to decide whether I wanted to, because step up, like really go for it in these videos, or go for radio. And I don't know why I couldn't have done both. I'm sure I could have done or pursued both at the same time. But I reasoned in the end, and I remember legit having long thoughts on like what I was going to do. And I reasoned in the end that I could always go back and try to do radio, but I couldn't get a low-level radio gig somewhere and then come back 5 years later and do jackass videos, which is true.
Yeah.
And so when I got out of Specs, I literally didn't even look for a radio job because but I put everything into this. It wasn't like I wasn't just doing nothing. Like we were
setting
spending
your balls on fire and stuff.
Yeah, doing that.
You were doing important things.
Right, of course. Looking back, I'm not saying it was a right or wrong decision. I think it was the right decision. I think it led to...
It led us here.
Well, it led to creating the character that became more wild and weird that would become better on Drew and Mike. Like, if I had just gone out of Specs and tried to get a radio job, I probably could have got one. But it just would have been a regular gig somewhere. I would never have gone to Drew and Mike. I would never have done that and then led to TDC. Yeah. But anyway, the point where I was going with that, though, is I used to hang out with this guy who recently died in apparently a kind of a weird scenario situation. What? But his name was John O'Leary. He was a disc jockey at 94.7, and he only did Saturday nights.
Oh, is he the one that got murdered? Yes. That was crazy.
It's you know what, dude? Unfortunately, I think the guy wasn't great with money and stuff, and I think he probably just had shady people around him.
Okay.
Because like even when I was with him, he was great, but he only worked Saturday nights.
Okay.
But he had this history. Yeah. Apparently, he had worked at like ABX back in the
wife too.
I don't think he was married, as far as I know. I mean,
yeah.
I hadn't seen him or talked to him in a long time, so I don't know. But as far as I know, he wasn't married.
Yeah, I think they arrested the person who did it, though.
But yeah, but he had he'd been, I guess, a big guy at one point, like with ABX, or whatever. And like even like for my Specs, you'd had to do like a Specs spotlight where you interviewed someone from the industry, and so I interviewed him. And
what was his name? John O'Leary.
John O'Leary. Okay. And he was working. I remember that in his interview with me, he does reference like he was like in the meeting with Howard Stern where W4 went country and Howard Stern got all pissed about it or whatever.
Oh yeah.
But like one time after, I know we realize this is going off a way big tangent, but one time after I'd gone downtown with my buddy Mickey to a concert or something. And I wanted to be a big man and show him around the radio station. So it was like Saturday night. And I used my key and we walked around and he came up to me and he's like, "What are you doing here?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm an intern. I'm a promotional intern, but I'm just kind of showing my buddy around the station." And he was like, "Oh, would you want to, come check out the studio?" And I'm like, at that time I had not been in any of the studios. Not even like the Drew and Mike. Like I'd seen them, I guess, walking through the hall, but I hadn't been in. I'm like, hell yeah. And he brought me in and he's like, "Oh, why don't you hit a button to start a music song?" And I said, "Yeah, fuck yeah." And then he told me like, "Hey, if you ever want to come back here, you can chill and you can help me, you can start to learn how to do a show." Nice. And eventually, I haven't talked about this in a long time, but eventually got to the point where I went there every Saturday night. Oh, wow. And the deal was I'd buy him a $5 pizza and then he would, and it got to the point, were you super bummed out when he was murdered? Yeah.
Why didn't you say anything?
I don't even, I hadn't seen him in a long time.
Yeah, but still, it sounds like he was like a pretty integral part of your radio history.
He was. I think because I didn't know what to do or say. I don't know. I don't know. And it was a weird, it was a murder. It was a very odd
I just
thing.
Looked it up. He was missing for a week, and he was found stabbed in his backyard.
I'll say this. Even when I knew him, I could already tell, I feel like, he kind of lived with his mom in an apartment or something.
The article said that friends said he had fallen on hard times.
Yeah, he wasn't even doing that. I think even when he was only working. And the funny thing, this is the one thing about him that was, and I'm not trying to be mean, I know that people know him, and he was great, dude, awesome to me. But I will say the one thing that seemed odd about him is that he didn't seem to want to work more. Mm-hmm. Which is because he was literally only doing Saturday nights.
Like he probably could have.
Right. He had the voice. He was in the place. I feel like he didn't seem like he, and I don't, even then I remember not
made just enough to
understand
do what he wanted to do.
I guess. But what was funny about it is like in the end, like by the very end, we would have it set up where he would sit over like almost where you are, and I would sit over at the thing, and I would fire the commercials and those songs, and he would just do the talking part.
He probably loved that, so it was less that he had to do.
Right. Well, and it was great for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I felt like I was legit.
Yeah.
I remember at the time thinking like, this is fucking it.
Yeah.
You're here, and then he hooked me up with this other girl that used to do. I forget her name, Pam something. And it's just so dumb. I haven't thought about it. Sorry, Amy. I haven't thought about this in a long time. But she did a show called like Sunday Over Easy or something. Okay. On CSX. Where it was like supposed to be real calm, classic music. And her shtick was that she legit picked the songs. It was not like just programmed in exactly what was going to be played. Mm-hmm. And he hooked me up with her to try to help like do the same thing. Like, and I look back and it was so dumb because I did it twice. And something came up that I couldn't make it one Sunday, and I just handled it really bad. Like, I didn't, like, call her for some reason. Mm-hmm. Something really just young and stupid.
Right.
And then after that, because I was hanging out after my internship should have been done. Mm-hmm. I was beyond what my 6-month internship was.
So did you take him into there? You were still working there when you took your friend there.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, yeah. Then I was still there.
Okay.
I was legit still an intern there.
Okay.
And so after the time I didn't show up for her, then all of a sudden, like, I got like an email or something, and your time is done as an intern.
Oh, really?
And I look back, and it was that I do say I look back at as kind of dumb.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why I didn't. She was nice. I liked it, and that would really legit have been an in.
Yeah.
If I had then kept doing that with her and then been with him, I could have then gone to somebody and been like, hey, can I get a board op job? And then start going up. Whatever. Dumb shit. But the reason this all came about is I had the pink purple cast. That's how I'm showing this all back. And I was too embarrassed to tell John that I wanted pink purple. So I told him it was a bet. It was a dare that I wouldn't get a pink purple cast. Like, I was 25 and I couldn't just tell this man who worked in radio.
Yeah.
He's a hippie.
Yeah.
Why would he care?
Works one day a week.
Right. Like, he's a hippie who worked one day a week I couldn't just tell him I had a pink purple cast.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, that was about a 10-minute story, I think, of my past. But I will say, I don't mind talking about that because not to be like, I did do things, but I think sometimes it gets lost that I really wanted to do radio.
Yeah.
I really, like, I ended up, I was 23 or 22. And once he let me come in there on Saturday nights, I didn't go out Saturday nights until I was forced out.
Yeah.
Like, I gave up all my Saturday, and I get it, but I'm just saying, it was something I was willing to do.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the shirts are going to be, I figured the shirts will be, I'll say 25.
Okay.
Seems fair. Koozies are going to be 10. And what I'm going to do is, if anyone wants to buy both, you can do it for 30. So 10 for the koozie, 25 for the shirt, 30 for both. Anyway,
good deal.
So here we are 19 minutes in, and I haven't talked about anything that I've done on the road.
Well, I want to start by saying that anybody who listened to last week's episode that heard about E in Reno with the woman in the hotel room.
Yeah.
They called her yesterday on TDC. So I'm sure if you listen to this, you probably have heard that.
Mike,
but if you haven't, you need to listen to it because she's hilarious. And the call was funny, and it actually led to a really funny story.
Mike made to me, not that he just doesn't do social media as much as I will at times, and I think he made one of the better, like, teaser
for sure.
post that he's like for real. Like I'm even just gonna read it just because. But it's like I remember when I was driving on the way home and I saw, I was like, damn, dude, I forgot to mention to him I'll say it to him after this. But I meant to say, like, dude, that was good. That was like a fucking. If I didn't even know what was going on,
you would have tuned in.
I would listen to that, and it said like, he said, if you were a chick hanging out with Robin Leach. Yeah, the guy from Lifestyles of Rich and Famous. He wanted to whiz in your cupped hands for $5,000. Would you let him? We talked to someone who found herself in that very position on tonight's blah blah and tonight's TDC. Check it out. Would you have for $5,000?
I mean, probably.
Right.
For $5,000, I guess. Yeah, but it was funny when I saw Mike's post about that. It didn't even register with me that it was going to be the person you hung out with. I was just like, oh, they must call somebody and it must get, hilarious. Yeah. And sure enough, it did.
No, you know what's funny about that is I told him afterwards, I get so nervous because I had already talked a little bit about my trip. I know how people are. I'd already kind of done about 20 minutes or more. Show. And that's why on the show I did say, like, hey, dude, I could share this another time if you want or something. Because I've already done this amount of time. He's like, oh, I'll tell it. And it was going okay. And once we called her, and once it was like legit, I could tell that they were engaged and stuff. It was such a relief to me. Yeah. Because I'm like, oh my God, this worked. Yeah. And they're liking it. Yeah. Like I even at this point, I still like if I bring something, and then it's such a nerve-wracking thing to not have it work or not work. Yeah, yeah. And I will give her credit for playing along. If she had not played along too,
she was hilarious.
That would have. She did a lot in that too, as far as willing to talk and willing to be funny.
I guess I didn't realize that she was so much older.
Yeah, she was. She was like in her.
I think she said 50, right?
Something. Yeah. And I remember like, so anyway, but this guy, it's funny, this guy commented on this thing and I'm going to read it because I think it is funny. He said, yesterday's TDC sounded like Dennis Miller interviewing Joe Dirt with Big E's Adventure. That's dead on, dude.
That's funny.
And I was so uncomfortable through some of it.
Oh, that's what I was thinking about. I was like, he must just be crawling out of his skin.
I always say like, I did text her afterwards like, hey, thanks for, playing along and this and that. I always will say this, like, the person of me that knows that will be funny wants to do it. But it's not really that. It's very nerve-wracking because you don't know what she's going to say. Yeah. Although in the end, I didn't have much to worry about. Chose me over Mike Tyson.
Yes.
I don't know if I believe that.
That is not at all her playing along. It was 100% honesty that she would choose Big E over Mike Tyson.
The only thing I'll take, I don't take people at their, weirdly, I won't take someone, she's being nice, she's on the thing. I am not gonna legit have that as a thought in my head. But I will say what I'll take out of it. I am choosing to believe. You listened to it, so let me think. You heard her inflection. I am choosing to believe that I was wrong and that she, if it came down to it, I thought that she liked that other guy more than me. I think she seemed genuine.
Oh, yeah.
When she said that it would have gone the other way.
Yeah.
I think so. I would have disappointed her so badly. That would have been
badly. That's why I was like,
it's better this way.
Yeah, for sure.
It's so better this way.
Definitely.
There is,
and you could just embellish a little bit and tell girls that I had someone choose me over Mike Tyson
I don't have to say the other part for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I had her choose me over Mike Tyson. You don't have to say it was hypothetical.
Right. Yeah. In the end, honestly,
Big E and Mike Tyson walk into a bar.
Yeah, right.
Who do you leave with?
In the end, I know I said it on that
Jackie
show.
is the only one in Big E's line. Is that her name?
Well, that's what we were calling her.
Yeah.
I will say in the end, I know I said it on the TDC thing though, for real, if you took out getting laid, that night was so fun. And it really was. I mean,
sounds like it.
And honestly, not just that, having her to hang out with the next day, if I hadn't done that, most likely where that night would have gone, I would have walked around trying to find a girl, not had it work out, then been hungover and tired the next day, and kind of just by myself in this thing. And it gave me something the next day to do. We did hang out and got some food, and I met her nephew.
Nephew.
She said it was her nephew.
Yeah, I know.
So
that was funny.
We'll just leave that where it is. So anyway, where I left the Biggie County venture with you was I was in Colorado, and then I went to Denver.
Oh, yeah.
And back to a hotel that had previously had bed bugs on the first part of the trip.
What in the hell? E is the only person in the history of history that has gone back to a hotel after experiencing bed bugs. No one. I am so confident in saying that no one has ever done that.
My mom made a good point, and she said maybe because I didn't experience the bed bugs, because I didn't get ever bit or anything.
Who got bit?
Both them did. Oh. So I'm saying that my mom was like, if I had gotten personally bit, I bet it would have been. No, I'm just saying. I'm sure it would have been different. Here was the reason for that.
Did you like inspect for bed bugs when you got there?
I did look in the bed. Yeah. The reason was just like, there. I know it was mentioned that there's like a budget, and the thing is, the hotel really did seem. It did not seem like a hotel. It seemed a very clean place. We stayed there.
Was it a brand?
It was La Quinta.
Oh, okay.
And it was honestly one of the nicer. I 100% have learned this on a trip that there are about 3 levels of even La Quintas, and there's La Quinta. I mean, we had friends. I know we said it. I think we said it before, but we said that sounds racist. Doesn't like saying it right? Even though you're saying it right. Right. It sounds like it's racist. Right. It sounds like what's her name trying to say like like roll their R's.
Yeah.
Like who was the
roll your R's?
I can't.
Roll your R's.
Shit, I can't.
Roll your R's.
I can't do it. What would be a word? R word. What's an R word?
Rodrigo.
Rodrigo. I can't do it. But it sounds like you're appropriating the word by saying La Quinta.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I used to call it La Quinta.
Yeah.
La Quinta.
Yeah.
And then I heard it was actually La Quinta.
Yes.
The point is, though, there are 3 levels of even La Quintas. And this one, I would put it in the higher level of the, and that's hard to explain, but just like how the building looks.
I get it.
So it's like, it didn't seem like it had issues, and it was a good price. And the other thing is being on the road, Denver's all these big cities are so tough to decide where's a good area.
Yeah.
Like you're going to show up and there wasn't a KOA I could do. And my reasoning was in the end is it seemed like a clean place the first time. Other than that, and then the other thing was, by the way, I would say, we didn't get bed bugs the first night. Scott and I stayed in the first night. Tyler met a friend and hung out at another place. He came back. I'm not saying he brought them, but the other, but he could have brought them via another hotel or something. Because me and Scott didn't have an issue the first night. So we might have brought them in. I mean, I'm saying I didn't.
Yeah.
And we didn't have them that first night.
Yeah. Interesting.
So, but and
what do they look like?
What's up? They just little.
Are they black?
Yeah, kinda. We experienced it twice in the end on that first part because we also had them in the cabin at the KOA the one time. But those people were really super nice. Like they were like super apologetic. They ended up putting us up in a deluxe cabin for 2 nights and stuff like that. But like my thought was, it was just, I knew the area was nice. I knew the area was nice.
Yeah.
It was a good price. I was just going to risk it. So I did, that was that. I did that. I did comedy that night in Denver as well, but it was fine. It kind of just went okay. And then after that, I'm trying to think, what did I do? Shit, there was something I was going to get to. I drove somewhere, stayed at a KOA, just slept in my car again.
Okay.
At a really empty KOA, like
that's
just
creepy.
It's kind of weird. There's nobody there.
Yeah, except for the people who want to capture you.
Right.
And dismember you.
That one, you know what though? That one, I was okay with it in that one. It was somewhere in Kansas, and the reason I was okay with it is it was at least I could see around. The other place all came down to that it was just so dark and on the edge of these woods.
Yeah.
There was other people here. Yeah. I could see other people at least. It was a very surreal moment too at one point because I was like, it was a Friday night. Friday night. And it was like 40 degrees out and they couldn't do ground fires because they had a real dry weather at the time or something. So I couldn't do a bonfire.
Okay.
So I was just like sitting in my.
What do you do?
I was just sitting in my van and I propped up my phone. Luckily the cell service was okay. And I just watched a documentary on Netflix and I was just like, I watched a Tom DeLonge interview actually he'd done on Netflix because Blink had gotten back together.
Yes.
And Blink was so stuck in my head. But I've just like watched like TV like he went on a Friday night in my van. But I'm like laying in that little cocoon thing. I don't know if you've seen kind of what that looks like. Yeah. But I'm just like, and the door was open and I had just like the stars of Kansas just out. And I'm just like.
That's awesome.
And like I said, Friday night, you know what I mean? And so then Saturday I get to Wichita, Kansas. And I stayed I got a Fairfield 2 nights there actually. And those ones I actually paid for. I will admit that those ones I shelled out They were kind of cheap though. It wasn't a high end area. And when I go to Fairfields, you know, if you have the points, you really earn a lot of points back and stuff. And so that was the day of the fucking 18 inning Mariners game.
Oh yeah.
Which, by the way, that series, you know what's funny? Like, if you didn't care, like if I didn't care, that is one of those sports series that if you just looked at it, you say they got swept.
Yeah.
Did you watch most of the games?
I didn't. No, okay. But I know that.
But they didn't.
No, I mean it was. Yeah, it was
walk-off home run in game 1.
Yep.
2 was like close. I don't remember how game 2 went, but they were all to the 9th inning essentially, and 1 to the 18th inning.
Insane.
And it was like, but it's just weird how sports can be. Like I said, if I didn't care about the Mariners and I wasn't watching, I'd be like, oh, they got swept.
Yeah.
But it was like all 3 of those games could have gone the other way. And then I had a moment where it was like that was one, by the way, the Fairfields. It's funny, even when you're talking about Fairfields, that's another thing. Just like Fairfields, just like Marriott's.
Yeah.
There's levels of them.
Yeah, for sure.
And when you pay less money, like this Fairfield, and I don't care. I'm not complaining. I was fine with it. I'm just Fairfield's always going to be nicer than a Super 8. But it's like there are ones that are essentially just above a Super 8.
Right.
Even though it's a Fairfield Inn associated with Marriott.
Yeah.
Like
I stayed at a Marriott when I was just in Chicago. What?
2 things. I'm going to let you tell the story. 1, I realize I've just done a lot of talking. 2, I've realized I've been talking really fast, and I need to slow
You're going
to
be so mad when you listen back.
I'm not going to listen back now because, honest to God, I've just go ahead.
No, you've been fine.
I'm consciously making this effort that for the next 10 to 20 minutes, I'm going to slow down.
Okay.
I
stayed at a Marriott by Chicago O'Hare, and like, yeah, you think it's going to be a Marriott, it's going to be super nice, and it was fine, but like. Right. So I look out and I'm like, oh my God, I have a balcony. How cool is that? So like I go out onto the balcony and it's just one huge long balcony of all the rooms.
Like they're just connected?
The whole balcony's connected. So like you can just walk up to anybody's room on the balcony. And there's a chair sitting outside of, and it's just one huge. Weird. I was like, this is so fucking ghetto. And like.
That's really creepy too.
Super creepy.
That's bizarre.
I know, but it's like it's a Marriott. It wasn't even a courtyard. It was a full-service regular Marriott.
Wow. That is a difference. Those are supposed to be even nicer.
I know.
Because Marriott is supposed to be significantly nicer than a courtyard.
I know.
Courtyard by Marriott.
Exactly. So usually, like I travel for work, I'm like, okay, I'll stay at the regular Marriott, and then I was like, this is super fucking ghetto.
I know it's come up on this podcast a lot. I think that sometimes I feel better about talking about stuff when we do these in person. It's just so much better. I have just really, really learned on this trip, like what a hotel costs and what that means and what you're going to get for that. Yeah. I mean, honestly, like I had the Super 8 I did the last episode out of that we did together on the road was in like Junction City, Colorado. And you know what? The internet worked good, which is great with me. They had a real nice flat screen TV with good cable options, which I liked. But and not a big deal. But like breakfast was terrible. The carpets in the hallway and the stairs were really dirty. You know what I mean? And it's like and oddly from the outside, I thought it actually looked really nice. And that room was, I think. Luckily, I've gotten so many points that I've been earning, so I'm not paid for a lot of these hotels in a normal way. Yeah. But I think with my points, that hotel was like $75. So I mean, that probably means it was between $90 and $100. Yeah. And from when I was a kid, like what you'd get for $100 room. Yeah. $100 used to be kind of like, I remember when my dad, we would go on family vacations. His goal was like $70, and we stayed at kind of Super 8s and stuff then too a lot of times. Yeah. But my point is like when I was growing up, if he had gone up to 100, that probably meant we would have been like a Holiday Inn or something. Right. And now 100 can really can be a Super 8
for sure.
And not
I would be hesitant to stay anywhere for under $100 to be honest.
If I were you, 100 and I would too if I weren't doing this. I would too. Like if you're going on a vacation, if you were wanting to visit Denver, I wouldn't go to a place less than 120, 130. Yeah. Because if you're going there for a trip. Yeah. Because if you're doing $100, you very likely could be at one of these places I'm talking about that are just they're fine. Yeah. But nothing special.
That room in Chicago was $263 a night.
Okay.
And it wasn't. I mean, it was by the airport. It wasn't even downtown.
When you get in those cities. it can be
it's
really...
just insane. Like the room that I got for $263 a night was, I mean, with that big-ass
one
balcony.
That Tyler and I had in Chicago when when we visited you.
Yep.
Now that was downtown on the fucking right off the Miracle Mile or whatever, or Michigan Mile or whatever they call it. So I mean, I get it, but that was like 30,000 Marriott points.
Right.
And to put that in perspective, I know I've talked about it before, but I try to find hotels in the 12 to 14,000.
Right.
That was like 30,000 Marriott. If I had done that in Topeka, Kansas, I'd have a 2-bedroom suite at the nicest one downtown or whatever.
Yeah.
And there it was like, they're very plain.
Yeah.
You know, it was just not that big of a deal. No, anyway.
There was on Drew and Mike, there was a news story of someone that was like living at a hotel or something, so they looked up the reviews of the hotel, and there were a lot of reviews that gave it a negative review about the breakfast.
Yeah.
And I think it was Mark was like, who would take the time to leave like a negative review about the breakfast? And I was like, I know who would.
Yeah.
E.
No, you know
He's
what?
very passionate about the breakfast.
The breakfast is a big deal. I would say I wouldn't leave a review, but I'm getting to the point where I can understand. I look at reviews, like I do try to look at reviews before I get the room.
But if you saw one that said bad breakfast a bunch of times, you probably wouldn't stay there, would you?
Well, certainly I wouldn't love it. I would say though, for the most part on this trip, when we got to the point, I know especially when we joked about it with Scott and Tyler, but it'd be like, as long as they said no bed bugs, you get a lot of reviews.
No bed bugs, you will fucking go back to a place that had bed bugs.
I mean, like more like pictures of them left and right in the reviews, I guess. Because honestly, you could stay at a very nice hotel.
You could experience them firsthand, but that will not drive you away.
I mean, like you go to their Yelp review, and there's pictures left, like several pictures of them. Because like you'll read reviews, and I will tell you, you'll get a lot of like the staff was rude.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't give a fuck.
I mean, dude, and by the way, the person who's saying the staff is rude, although I did start doing something on this trip without Tyler, because without anybody to stop me, I wake up so early. Mm-hmm. And what I started doing was, because this last week was honestly really grueling, and I'm not trying to be woe is me, but it was just a lot of 4-hour days, 5-hour driving, 4 hours. You know what I mean? Days where, think about when you drive up to, if you were to drive up to Mackinac, or if you drive to Chicago, and then you were just like, okay, I got to do this 4 more times.
Right.
And you're just staying in a hotel for one night, and you've already been on the road, by the way, too. So it's like, I wake up early, and it's like, I kind of just, even if I kind of just want, I already wake up at 6 in the morning, it's like, I might as well just get in the car and get there as soon as I can, and then I can take like a nap or something, right? So the problem is, though, I don't like to eat breakfast that early. And so what I started doing on this trip is, if I left at 6:30, I'm not going to say, I don't know if it matters, but there's one brand of hotel. Lots of brands do different times of when their breakfast ends. There is one brand of hotel that is always 10 a.m. Monday through Friday, or Monday through 7 days a week, I should say.
Okay.
Not like, because a lot of them do different on weekends, different on weekdays. One brand of hotel is 10 a.m. all the time, so you can trust it. And so I would start waking up at like, if I woke up and I was like, I'm going to leave at 7, I would look 2.5 hours out and be like, where is the closest of this hotel?
Oh my God.
And then I would just roll in at 9:30, 9:45.
At a hotel you weren't staying at.
At a hotel I wasn't staying at.
Oh my God.
And eat the breakfast.
You just walk in.
If you don't, on the first leg of the trip, I was trying to get selfish and take food out of the hotel and go to back to my hotel if we had a crappy hotel breakfast. But if you're going to just walk in and sit, no one is going to say shit.
Did someone say something to you when you took food?
I never had anyone saying it, but I'm just saying, but that's trickier.
Yeah.
Because you're essentially walking out and then you're trying to like walk out the parking lot and like you have.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, as long as you're confident in everything you do and act like you're supposed to be there, nobody's going to say anything.
So I started doing that, and it's like, I'm not trying. I know, I will say this, I'm kind of against it. I don't love the idea. I don't believe that, in stealing, and I know it's not, you could argue how level of stealing this is.
Oh, yeah, I don't think it's stealing. You deserve a breakfast. You stayed there.
Well, but although I got to the one. Here's my thought process too. If you get right near the end of it, I got the one I ate at this time. This lady was full on thanking me because she's like, because it was like 9:45. It was about that. They were literally about to start taking it down, and she's like, we would just throw these away. So like yogurt and stuff, no, they would reuse that. But if you're taking eggs and potatoes and stuff, they're going to toss that shit.
Yeah.
If you're coming in there at 9:45, you kind of are just eating what's going to go in the garbage anyway. But justifying it, I know. But no, she was full on like, oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming down here.
I'm sure that nobody gives a fuck.
I swear to God, I really wouldn't do this. I've gotten to the point where I really believe that. Like I used to do that as a kid. I've gotten to the point where
it's a chain.
It's a chain, I know. I'm just saying, though, I really...
It's not like you're going into, like, mom and pop bed and breakfast and stealing out of their pockets.
No, so I started doing that, and I did start doing that. So I started, like, saying, like, I got 2.5 hours, I can make it to this. But the problem was, then you'd have to... When you were in, like, places like Kansas and Colorado, they weren't every exit.
Right.
So you would have to be, like... I had the dealer at one time, like, oh, fuck, this is... I have to really stretch it. Like, I've got the speed because I don't want to do the one an hour before that.
Yeah.
And so I have to get there. So I did Wichita, Kansas. And then the funny thing that came out, I think the funniest thing that probably came out of Wichita, I had a moment, by the way, also in Wichita, Kansas, where you got in my head, and that's why I took an Uber instead of walked back.
I got no text.
No, because I didn't walk back.
Oh, okay.
That's why. So what happened was, as I decided, oh, here's another thing, Amy. I'm sorry. I'm really going off the rails here. I went to this, I tried to look for what bar. I was going to have the Fairfield Inn for 2 nights. So I actually finally was like, I can go out. I don't have to, on this trip, I just do not want to go out and have to drive the next day. I have to know that I'm going to be in the hotel the next day and can be like a lazy, hungover piece of shit and not in the car. So I'm like, I'm going out. Saturday night, I'm in a big city. I looked around and I decided to go for a country bar, which had a big dance floor. It was really cool. And you know what I came to the conclusion of? If I had friends with me, I could still have had fun. But this place was like, it wasn't like a live band I can do with it. Because it's a band, everyone, whatever. But when there's a dance floor and it's country, everyone was line dancing. And I don't know how to line dance. And so if you're just by yourself, I want to learn how to line dance.
Yeah.
If I had known how to line dance, I could have got on the floor.
They taught us that in fucking high school.
I was in something else. I've never got taught it.
Oh.
I think I was in the private schools when that thing was happening.
Oh, okay.
Maybe. But like
that was so stupid.
I want to learn how. I know,
that.
Right? I always hear people joke about it.
And I always remember thinking like, oh, I get to dance with line dance with my boyfriend. During gym class.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
That's funny. I never experienced it. I don't know what it was.
So dumb.
I don't know why.
You were like on records.
I
went to fucking high school in 2004 and 5. Like it wasn't record time.
No, I've seen the memes before where people have been like, "Oh, you never know when a hoedown's gonna break out or something."
For sure.
But honest to God, so what happened was I ended up finding myself sitting there and I was drinking beers, and it just was pretty much you needed to be able to dance to me. To like, otherwise I was just gonna be a guy. Because even if I approached the girl,
how hard can line dancing be? Isn't it just like this?
These people kind of knew though. Like the people that were there,
like were they doing choreographed dances to songs?
They all learned how to do it enough that they could make it to the beat of the song, and it's like they do the whole thing where they turn around. I mean, they knew. Like,
were they like, woo?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Yes,
really?
Yes.
That's hilarious.
And so my point was like I got to this weird thing where it's like I was honestly kind of tired, and I was by myself, and I'm like, even if I talk to somebody, it's like if I'm not going out there, it's gonna kind of be pointless.
And so that would have been fun people watching though.
It was fun people watching, and so I did that for a little bit, and I left that bar because I got to try something else. I've come to the conclusion that to be successful in a situation of talking to people, it needs to be more of like a bar where it's quiet and I can talk. So I went to what I thought might be another chance. It was kind of by my hotel, dead, nobody in it, and I'm like, fuck, okay. And then I had already found out, by the way, on the way to the bar, I saw the billboard that showed that wrestling was going to be in town the next night.
Okay.
And I wanted to do wrestling because I was like, that is cool. The odds that I could see a wrestling show. So I will admit that also me leaving the bar, I didn't want to be hungover. Yeah. So I wasn't willing to get drunk anymore.
Yeah.
And so like if I'm not going to get drunk and I can't dance, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
If I could go to a quiet bar
and love to see you line dancing.
I'm going to learn. I'm going to learn how to line dance.
It's amazing.
I'm going to learn. I'm not kidding. I want to learn how to line dance.
All right.
So anyway, I feel like I'm really whatever. I tried to slow down. I don't think I have. But
okay.
So I was at this bar. It was just dead empty. I'm like, you know what? I was like, you know what, man? That's cool. You wanted to do WWE tomorrow anyway. That's more of a unique thing in a way. Let's just go home. You're not drunk. This will be good. You're still late, but you won't be hungover and stuff. And it was only like a mile and a half from my hotel. And I really didn't want to pay for a lift. What
was it, $5?
No, they've all gone up now, dude. You can't get $5 lifts anymore. Even like it used to be, if you were going up 2 miles, it was like 12. But I'm just saying, I know it doesn't seem like a big difference between 5 and 12, but it is to me. And I started walking, Amy, in the end. I started walking, and I'm like, I wonder how dangerous Topeka, Kansas is. And I Googled it.
I just keep thinking of Topeka, Kansas. Hello.
What is that from?
That's Larry King, and they just always played that drop
right.
Drew and Mike.
Yes. So I started thinking, like, how dangerous is Topeka, Kansas? And I Googled it. And apparently Topeka, Kansas is actually
pretty dangerous.
Yes. For what did you know this?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't know this. Okay.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like, it's one of those, or like St. Louis and like, those kind of.
Yeah. Now, according to my Uber, once I finally got the lift, she was like, you're in the much better part.
Yeah.
Apparently, I was in the part that was, she's like, you probably would have been fine.
Yeah.
There's a certain part of it that's much worse.
It's probably like one of the more of like the built up areas of Detroit or something.
Yeah,
like, you'd be fine, but.
But so I started walking, Amy. I started walking for real. And I started walking, and originally I was like, wow, I could go down the main road and then go through a neighborhood, I thought. And that was going to cut a lot of I felt like almost safer walking and it was so dark down that road.
Yeah.
And I still was walking. I'm like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
And I Googled it. I'm like, oh, geez. And I kind of still kept walking. And I'm like, and then I just said to myself, what the fuck are you doing? I'm like, you spent less money than you thought at the bar.
Yeah.
I was going to DoorDash.
Like, do you know, imagine if we found out that you were murdered over $12.
I know. That's ridiculous.
$12.
That's ridiculous.
Insanity.
I know. So I finally turned around, went back to the bar, and I didn't want to go in the bar because I already left, and there was nobody in the bar. Well, wait, I should say not. When I say nobody, there was about 4 people, but they were all friends with the bartender.
Yeah.
And like they all knew each other. Mm-hmm. The bartender's literally just hanging out there. So it's like I'd walk back in there like a weirdo to me. You know what I mean? Like, so I just waited for it, and I got the lift, and it was like, because it was only, but I was walking, and finally I was like, what are you fucking doing? Just get the lift.
Yeah.
So the next day, and then this is the other thing I was going to say. The next day I did a lot of DoorDash, which actually worked out really well because that paid off some of the money I was going to go to.
That expensive lift.
I had the best. You want to know the cheapest? Right. No, I put that in my head. Like, okay. First order I did, I was like,
gotta make $12.
I gotta make $12. I gotta make $12. And then my cheapness fucking alarm. This is the best when you're a cheap motherfucker and you have things work out. It's so awesome. So like, I wanted to buy this wrestling ticket. But if you bought them online through Ticketmaster, the $15 ticket was going to be $30. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I don't want to fucking pay $30. Yeah. I know it's only $15.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I want to go to the building. But like, I kept calling and they weren't open because it's a Sunday and they're not really open. I don't know if they even ever pick up, the box office on Sunday, even though they're open that night. I don't know. But I was doing DoorDash and finally, and one time I like, oh shit, I'm driving right by the arena. I have food in my car, by the way. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I don't know.
I would have been so pissed looking at you on the map like, why is this motherfucker stopped at the stadium?
You know what I would tell you, though? I'd say I had 2 deliveries. You can always...
It tells you that, though.
It tells you they have 2 deliveries?
It says your Dasher is finishing another order right now.
Well, what are you going to do? I didn't know that.
Now you know.
Well, that's good to know.
And I'm always like, why the fuck didn't they do us first? Why'd they do them first? Bullshit.
I'll say I do what's next based on what works best for me.
Yeah, I'm sure everybody does.
No, I think a lot of them don't even think about it, probably. Yeah. I'm really telling you. Because DoorDash doesn't...
whoever shows up
DoorDash doesn't give you... DoorDash gives you what's best for the customer, probably.
Yeah.
I do what's best for where I'm going to end up. Because I've had times before where they have 2 orders and they're like, go over to here, then turn back around and come here. Right. I'm like, no, not doing that. I don't give a fuck. I'm not doing that. Well, okay, I didn't know that, but either way. So that's even funnier now. So I stopped by the same, like, because I had actually tried one time earlier that day around noon, and it wasn't open. Because that's another one. It was a 4-mile walk to the stadium, and I was considering walking.
4 miles.
Walking. Because I didn't want to drive.
That would have taken you?
And about an hour and hour or so, a little more than an hour. And so you know what I did? I drove the walk that I would do, trying to decide if I felt like it was safe enough to drive it. But if you think about it, but by the way, if you think about it, I spent 4 miles there, 4 miles back. That's 8 miles, which costs some level of gas. And so,
why didn't you just drive yourself there?
Because I didn't know how much I was going to drink. I was going to drink. I didn't know. In the end, I could have done it. I only had 2 beers, but.
Oh my God,
But I was going to walk because I didn't want to pay the Lyft drive. And it was going to be 4 miles.
4 miles.
4 miles.
There and back?
I wasn't going to walk back. I was going to walk there and get a Lyft back.
Oh my God.
So I drove the walk first to see if it would work. And I decided it was going to be too sketchy for me. I decided I wasn't going to do the walk. But I stopped, and the ticket office wasn't open yet. It was like noon, and they weren't open yet. But this time I had the order. I'm driving right by the stadium. I'm like, I'm going to try again. And I parked the car just at the curb, and it was open, and I got to get my ticket for $15 cheaper than the price. And then I dropped off the food after that. And I'm telling you, I was so fucking happy. I was like, this is perfect. Oh, my God. I saved the money. I already got my ticket. So there was that. And then the other thing I was going to say from driving around Topeka, Kansas, doing DoorDash, and this is the only reason I knew this was from doing DoorDash, was what it must be like to have a football team that's good.
Yeah.
That town, Amy, other than bars, was dead. I was driving around right in the mist, right in the middle of freaking Kansas City versus the Bills. There was nobody.
They were lining up like the night before.
Dude, there was nobody at gas stations. There was nobody at like Walmart, like literally Walmart, like empty.
Yeah.
The only place that people were at were bars.
Yeah.
So like when I was picking food up and shit, nobody. It was like a ghost town.
Yeah.
And then when I got my Lyft later to the wrestling thing in the end, the dude had a Chiefs shirt on.
Nice.
And so I mentioned it, and he's like, "Oh yeah, today." He's like. It's good. Yeah. It
was a huge game.
And Wichita isn't a huge city, even though it's the capital. But Kansas isn't a big populated city. And actually, Kansas City's not in Kansas; it's in Missouri,
right?
Which is kind of
that's so confusing to me.
Which is an odd scenario.
And I honestly, I don't even know. Are the Royals and the Chiefs in the same place, or are they in?
They're very close.
Okay, I thought one was in one state and one was in the other.
No, they're like in the same. Okay. They're kind of in the same parking lot. It'd be like, it's like a big, massive.
Yeah,
like
it's like Tigers and Ford Field.
Yeah, it's kind of like, except they're just like surrounded by a big circle parking lot.
Got it.
But they're in this. Yeah, they're like next to each other.
Okay, I could have sworn one was in like a different state, but
no. So it is weird because they're not in Kansas, but Kansas doesn't have a team, so of course that's going to be your team,
right?
And you're named Kansas, and it's called the Kansas City
That's what
Chiefs.
I was thinking. Yeah, but they're in Missouri.
But they're in Missouri.
That's what I was thinking. Right. That makes no sense.
It's so bizarre. It is weird. It is weird. So anyway, that happened. Wrestling was awesome. It was kind of cool. I got this selfie with this professional dude, wrestler dude.
That was nice. Hey, have you talked to your buddy that you met in the woods?
Oh, the camping?
Yeah.
No, I haven't. I haven't talked. He's liked stuff I have on Instagram though and stuff, and I've liked stuff he's posted. So we haven't DM'd, but I mean, I guess we've reacted to each other's Instagram pictures, so that counts, I think, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we weren't gonna be like texting each other.
Well, I just wasn't sure.
So anyway, I have 2 more things I'm gonna go with, and man, 53 minutes, holy shit. Okay, 2 more things, and then we'll wrap it up. One is I had my first actual credit card loss finally.
Oh boy,
not a misplay, not one where because if you remember, I had 2 on the earlier trip where I left my wallet at a Walmart,
right?
But I got it back.
Yes.
So I don't count it as officially lost.
Okay.
But I apparently last gas station, well, not the last full day of the trip before, like it was like the last full day of the trip, I got gas. Apparently, I must have left it there. There's no other explanation for it. I filled up, went to the comedy that night. Wasn't there. I'm like, oh shit. Well, I'm like, oh, it's probably just in my sweatpants because I usually put it in my sweatpants after I whatever. Couldn't find it. I went back to the gas station. It wasn't there. I don't understand, by the way, the point of taking a credit card without, like, why not just give it?
How do you leave a card at a gas station? Do you go in to pay?
No, never.
Okay, so you have to pull it out.
I probably scanned it and then just dropped it, I guess. I don't know. Okay. I honestly don't know.
Yeah.
I usually put it in my pocket after,
maybe
and I probably just
dropped it.
I don't know what the purpose of taking a credit card was, by the way. I could see a wallet. You might think like there's cash in there or something. There's nothing that's going to happen from a credit card. I'm going to cancel it instantly, and you're not going to get to use it. I know there's maybe high-end people that could, I suppose, take my information from it. I don't really feel like that's probably the guy that took it.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that was a bummer.
That sucks.
But that was my only full-on, like I never lost my car keys.
Yeah.
And I never fully lost any credit card until then. So there was that. By the way, sorry, I lied. 2 more things. I did comedy that night in St. Louis. And for one, I drove by the brewery, the Budweiser place. And you could legit smell. It smelled like beer.
Oh, yeah.
Outside of it, which is kind of
for sure. I can
funny.
imagine, yeah.
And 2, I was doing comedy there that night. And they said the 2 best sets win a gift card to this bar tonight. And this is the second time I've had this on a trip where they've claimed that you could win some money. I swear to God, I am not a professional comedian. I'm so still nervous to even tell people I do it. I know I'm not. I have bad nights. Every joke doesn't hit. I'm just trying to say, like, I get it. I'm not a guy who brags about how awesome I am at comedy. I think I'm good at it.
Yes.
But I have bad nights. Yes. I am not a guy who's like a Newberg where you just know, right?
Got it.
Having said that, there was like 11 comics that night. There was 3 that were funny, and I was one of them for sure. One of them left. Now, he got up and he left. He didn't stick around. And when the end of the show came up, he goes, okay, here's the 2 winners of tonight's best sets. And he gave it to one guy. I'm like, okay. I'm not sure if he was funny or not, but he was definitely funny. I'm like, okay, he's funny. And they gave it to this other guy who was the last dude up. He was not even close to funny. Not even close to funny. There is...
Who picked it?
Just the guy running it.
Oh.
And I know what it is. It's because I'm not local and I'm not going to bring anything back to the bar or something. Right. But you know how we talked about that it happened in Idaho the one time. Even that time, there was really no audience technically. I went back and listened to it. I went back and listened to this one, and I had one joke that kind of flopped, this hot dog joke I talk about. But like I had legit like where people like laughed at jokes I did. I was 100% the third funniest comic if between 1 and 3 that night. And it's like, whatever. But even if he had given it to somebody, like he gave it to this dude who had no jokes and was not funny. Anyway, whatever.
Oh,
so that was something.
Yeah.
And then the last thing I'm going to say is that, did you see how you probably didn't, because I did it in like this long 8-minute video, but like I misjudged the time zone.
Oh no.
So dumb. So here's the deal. I have my last full day. I'm waking up in St. Louis. I'm going to drive to Indianapolis to do comedy and then drive home the next morning.
Okay.
And it's about 3-hour drive to Indianapolis. I keep saying to myself that I know there's an hour time difference. I keep saying that I'm going to come back an hour. So I'm thinking, okay, so it's a 3.5-hour drive, but really it's going to be 2.5 hours with the time. But really it's going to be 4.5 hours with the time. And so I take my whole time that morning. I kind of like really, for me, I tend to, like I just told you, I'll leave at 6:30 in the morning. But I'm like, okay, I had a TV in my little cabin. I had time. It was a really nice fall day. I took a long route into Kansas or into St. Louis. I really did it chill. And I ended I went up the arch, which was really dope.
Yeah.
You could fucking feel that thing moving up there, which was freaky.
That would be scary.
But we had such a great day. It was like a clear fucking day.
Nice.
And so I get down, and I didn't do breakfast that morning because I was trying to, at this point, not buy any more food. And it was too late to go to hotels breakfast. So I'm like, it's my last day. I'm going to have an actual breakfast. I'm going to sit down and have a breakfast. And I get out the arch, and I'm like, this is all worked really well. I'm looking at my clock. It's like 11 o'clock, I think, or something. I'm like, that's perfect. You know what? I'm going to drive a little in the car. And I'll get like stop at a truck stop thing and get a full sit down, meal at a truck stop and yada, yada. And I put it into my phone, and I'm like, it's saying, oh, you'll get there by 4:30. I'm like, but you mean 3:30, right?
Yeah.
I'm like,
oh boy.
No, it means 4:30. And then here's the problem now. Now it's saying from my spot where I'm standing, not even in my car yet, that I'm going to get there at 4:30. Well, I knew that I was going to have to leave for comedy because comedy was actually an earlier night this time.
Okay.
Comedy was going to be at 6:30. I was going to have to leave my campground by 6.
Okay.
So at this point, with no traffic and not getting food or not checking in, I'm going to be getting there. If I drove straight through, I'm going to get there at 4:30.
Oh, no.
And have to leave by 6.
Yeah.
Now there ends up being traffic. And there ends up being like, food, now. And like, it went from me thinking I was going to have this real casual sit down and like last day, I'm going to have a real meal, enjoy it, to me just freaking shoving Steak and Shake in my mouth. And like, I'm rolling up to the campground at 5 o'clock and I have to leave at 6. And it's just like,
well, you had plenty of time.
No, but the problem is Amy, another 3.5 hours of driving. It's just a long day, man.
I know. It was the same amount of drive, no matter when you did it.
But you think about a 2-hour difference. If I thought I was going to get there at 3 o'clock versus 5 o'clock, I would have been able to take a nap or something and like kind of sit around a little bit. But and I'd already done I don't know, for me anyway. I was sitting in that car and just in my mind knowing that I couldn't like just stop off. I couldn't do anything. Like this, just staring at the clock going, I can't. You know what I mean? Like even planning how I'm going to I got to do this in one stop. So I'm like, what I said to myself is I'm going to drive at least an hour. So then when I put gas in, I don't have to make any other stops. I'll go to the bathroom. I won't have to go to the bathroom again.
Yep.
Now I will admit that what happened was I didn't want to go to McDonald's, and every fucking exit was McDonald's and Subway for a long period of time.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, no, I don't want fucking McDonald's. And so I didn't end up eating till 3 p.m. Anyway.
You survived.
I survived. All right, so that's enough. We went a fucking hour, and I really talked 90% of it.
I would say you talked 55 minutes of the hour.
I'm so sorry.
You're good. It's your show.
I know. Well, I'm sorry to the people for having to hear me talk. I do have the shirt and the koozie again, so now I'm on board. So if you had $10 for a koozie, $25 for a shirt. The koozie's a pink koozie with my biggie, the logo that's on my hat that my sister created.
Yes.
And then a shirt we'll actually have the different one. The shirt's going to have the podcast one that Tyler drew up. $25 for the shirt, $10 for a koozie, $30 for both. The Venmo, I want to say people have been continued to keep giving Venmo money, by the way. Oh my God, thank you so much for everybody that's given Venmo money. It literally has kept me. When I thought I was going to do this trip, I legit thought I was going to sleep in my car 4 days a week. Mm-hmm. And the Venmoing has absolutely kept me from having to do that. So I really appreciate it. Eric Fady, ERICFADIE. I am a Cash App and PayPal. That will be it. We're going to do this live next week again, too. And then I'm going to try to get that Bill Bashart in and talk about my comedy origins.
Sounds good.
And that one, I'm going to have you, I'm going to specifically be you, because I'm not a good interviewer.
Yeah.
So I'll probably just be you interview him, and I'll chime in when it's needed.
Okay.
Or something.
Sounds good.
All right. Thank you for listening, guys. Bye.
Bye.
See ya. Oh my God, I didn't mean to do that, but I did.
You're good, E. You had a lot to say.
I did have, I felt like, I don't know if this, I just,